quick disclaimer. Before proceeding forward, I warn you that I do not intend to judge nor reprimand, for how can I judge another when I myself walk as an imperfect person? Yes, indeed. Luke 6:37. Now let me disarm you. I will not approach this video purely and solely from a religious standpoint. There is a quote from Confucius: the man who says he can and the man who says he can't are both correct, which illustrates the power of the spoken word, so powerful that if stemming from your belief you utter through speech that you can't, then it will be as you have spoken, you won't. Proverbs 6:2 stating, you have been trapped by what you've said, ensnared by the words of your mouth. In spite of this, people still speak so recklessly and then thrash their fists at God, or life, or other people, about how their life has turned out exactly how they spoke of it. But in my experience, the real horrors in people's speech are at their most potent and volatile when they speak of sex. Let's talk about it. I'd go so far as to say, in everyday life, from the average person, there is nothing more distorted than their view of sex. And this discovery is not something I came by after careful, meticulous observation. Non contraire. On the contrary. It's right there, out in the open, shameless and vulgar, crude and ill-mannered. The situation is so dire, Devua, people don't even use the word sex anymore. This is what I mean by the distorted mind of man is out there in the open for viewing. Through their very words. In place of the word sex, people nowadays say, oh, I hit, I smashed, I cracked, I beat it up. It's worth making you grimace. Now you may say, oh, darling, this is just slang. Well then, just play along and entertain this thought for me, eh? I hit. To hit is to inflict harm. I cracked. A synonym for cracked is fracture. I fractured. We beat, or I beat it up. To beat is to hit something repeatedly, or to defeat. Defeat someone in a sort of battle, whether it be war or chess. I smashed. To smash is to shatter. To destroy something into pieces using violent force. This is the most interesting thing. People say these vile things so casually, as if it removes the vile within it, but it simply poisons you even further. Because in your casualness, it seems to you that there's nothing wrong with what you're saying. It's really interesting. It would even be amusing if it wasn't so disturbing. People frequently say these things, yet unbeknownst to them, they are actually describing what they do to another person's soul, as well as their own. You hit the soul, you beat the soul, you crack it, and then you finally smash the soul. That is what you do to another person's soul as well as your own. Sex is something divine, holy. There is a reason why sexual immorality is a sin. There is a reason why it is called immorality. Because it is not moral to do this to another's soul as well as your own. It is not punishment you will receive from committing this sin, but the sin itself is the punishment. The act itself, because of what it will do to another person's soul and your own. And it will. For proof of this, you need only look at your past, how you felt after casual sex. Did you not feel some emptiness? Did you not begin to feel a little numb? Enough so that sex became merely casual to you? And besides, is it ever really casual? Truly, how can it be? Sex from a spiritual standpoint is a physical act that embodies the union between two souls. When you marry, you become one. You declare yourself as one in the eyes of God and in the eyes of the Lord. Genesis 2:18-24 says such a beautiful thing. And the Lord fashioned from the rib which he had taken from the man, and brought her to the man. And the man said, at last, this is bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother, and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Is that not so delicate and beautiful? So sacred? Even if you don't read the Bible, the poetry of it is worth admiring, no? This is why adultery is punishable by death in the Holy Bible. In Dante's Inferno, the ninth circle of hell is the worst place, a place for betrayers. Unlike the fiery upper circles, the lowest frozen region is a massive lake of ice created by Satan's wings, representing the absolute coldness of heart and absence of love. In my opinion, there is no worse act of betrayal that is not considered universally criminal that a human commits against another human, like adultery. It is severe cruelty. Think of it, the person you've become one with, whether religious or not, right? This is someone we can all agree that you have become one with. To betray them means to betray yourself. And I think no one is oblivious to this. Yet for momentary, cheap pleasure, they go against themselves. their wife or their husband who has become themselves, as you are now one. And you mock God, mock the ceremony which merges those two souls, performed in his temple and place of worship, the church. The importance of sex is outlined in a video I'll play for you now, of ironically, yet not so ironically, a divorce lawyer.
When you ask the question, how often is divorce because of cheating? What you're essentially saying is, how big of a problem is cheating? And here's what I'll tell you. I'm not a religious guy, but if you look at the Bible and you believe that God gave us 10 commandments, that he just showed up and was like, here's the 10 rules. Don't sleep with people you're not married to. Got 2, right? Thou shalt not kill, only 1. Don't bear false witness against your neighbor, only 1. Honor the Sabbath, only 1. Don't commit adultery. Don't covet your neighbor's spouse. It got 2. It's like God was saying, listen, don't cheat. I mean, seriously, don't cheat. And he only had 10, and he picked 2 of those he threw in. So this has been a problem for a really long time. And is it the cause of divorce? Is it a symptom of divorce? I don't know. We can debate about that all day. But how many divorces is cheating a part of? I would say a good 75, 80%.
I screwed her. In what other instances this word used, amore? Yes, indeed, when you make a great mistake. You say, oh, I screwed it up. Akin to saying you've made a mess of things. You're starting to catch on? I sure hope so. Here's a clip I'll play for you now of the infamous John Kiriakou, former CIA agent and whistleblower, the man who's lived quite the life.
You almost can't work at the CIA and not have PTSD. In fact, I've got a buddy, we go to the same church, we're in the same men's group, and we also worked at the CIA together. And consummate overachiever. He's also a brigadier general in the army and a psychiatrist. And he said to me one time, I find it fascinating that you came back from Pakistan with no PTSD, but you have crippling PTSD from your divorce. And I said, I allowed myself, despite my training, to trust one person. And that was the person who betrayed me. He diagnosed me with something called moral injury, which is a relatively new diagnosis. It appears in the DSM-6. And I had never heard of it. I had to look it up. And what it comes down to is if you're raised in a certain way to believe that these things are right and these things are wrong, and the wrong things you just don't do, and then somebody does it to you, your brain cannot wrap itself around the fact that this has been done to you. And it leads to PTSD.
From what I've gathered, it was a very high conflict divorce, very stressful for you. And would you kind of agree in the fact that that situation was harder than everything you went through with leaving the CIA?
Oh, my divorce was the worst thing I ever went through in my life. Far, far worse than prison, far worse than being arrested and yeah, any of that stuff. Far more difficult than going after Al-Qaeda or the Iranians or Hezbollah or any of the things I ever did at the CIA.
And just because of the moral part of it for you.
Yeah, you wanna have like one person in life that you can trust. Just one. Is that asking too much? Yeah, I never thought so.
Really makes you think. Now, in this day and age, there is a great rebellion against anything deemed traditional. And so you may say, well, deep in serenity, I don't want to get married, honey. I just want to be sexually liberated. First and foremost, do as you please, amore. Always be a selective listener. I encourage this. But just to throw this out there, marriage is the pinnacle display of love. A promise ring will not provide you with a sense of security. A wedding ring will. It is the most intimate form of union. This is reinforced by the law. No romantic union is legally recognized other than marriage. And in regards to the rejection of tradition, I can fathom why this phenomenon has occurred, because the archetype of the 1950s housewife is not ideal and can even be described as demeaning. But we are not in the 1950s anymore. We're no longer in the 1900s. This is 2026. Hooray! Therefore, there is a great privilege in being born in this age as opposed to prior times. Thus, despite exceptions such as forced marriages and anything akin to that, you do have an option to choose without compromise. Removing certain exceptions, there is no legal pressure which will limit your choices. So do not fall, as there's no need to fall, into the peculiar mindset of desired victimization. With the privilege of being alive in 2026, your selection for a life partner is wider. So as I mentioned in my YouTube video, how do I get them to like me, and discuss for 25 marks. Trust in your own judgment, amor. Trust in your own judgment when selecting a suitable partner. Never forgetting what always seems to be forgotten. You don't make them good, you find them good. So the time period you're alive in allows you to reject the oppressive elements of what marriage was forced to look like. And you can embrace the good elements of stability and structure that derive from tradition. There really is no need to reject completely. You can have the best of both worlds. That is an option for you. Now, would this be a Seeped in Serenity video without a story time? I think not. Thus, I remember when. I was in secondary school, and I'd say we were around 15 or 16, and we were all eating lunch, and then these girls decided to talk about sex. And I've always been a very private person, so I thought, alright, this is my cue to leave. But I suppose I didn't leave quickly enough, because just as I feared, they started directing insanely personal questions my way. Their conversations were so flabbergasting and really make your eyes widen, because they were saying things such as, yeah, I'm still a virgin. I just have to get rid of it by the summer. Oh yeah, me too. And I thought, as disturbing as that sounds, it's rather funny, because they speak as if virginity was a cold. I just have to get rid of it by the end of the week. Let's hope it's gone by the summer. As if it's such a hindrance, like clutter in your bag. And once they began directing the conversation to me, I'd rather wish they didn't, but rather than even ask me, they told me. You see, because they're so kind. Right? That's how that is. They know more about me than I know more about me. They say, oh, Seeped in Serenity, what about you? Oh gosh, imagine when she believes it. Gosh, she's so boring. You're so boring, you'd wait till 18. How ridiculous, right? Me being myself, I say, honey, I might do worse than that. I might do even worse. I might keep it even during university. Oh, you should have seen the look on their faces. You would have thought they were starring. #1 on the call sheet, starring in a horror movie. They say, oh, God forbid. Remarkably poor choice of words. Just thought I'd let you take a little peek into the conversations of some 15-year-old girls. They're just so delightful. Now, if we speak of sex, we must mention love. I've got an interesting point for you here. Another observation I've made. When people love each other, or are in love, or are simply discussing love, they say, I'm spoiled, or I spoil her rotten. Let's see. When a person cherishes another person, taking great care and consideration to please them, whether it be buying them material things or acts of service from a place of love, that is referred to as spoiling. New look for you. Language is used to describe, to communicate. Surely such love, effort, and consideration cannot be defined by the word spoiled. Think of when this word is accurately used. When food has passed its expiration date, you call it spoiled. You would say it's rotting. Or when something is ruined, a synonym would be spoiled. Why would people use a word clearly used to display a negative when conveying their love? Isn't love the most celestial, supreme emotion? In previous videos, we've spoken of Diotima ladder of love, mentioned in Plato's Symposium, the importance of it and the supremacy of it spoken by Socrates. But you need be no Socrates to be aware of its importance. Spoiled, rotten, like food past its expiration date. With a simple Google search, you'll be aware that the term is commonly used to describe moral corruption, very poor quality, or an overall feeling of unpleasantness. And yet a word such as this is often used to convey a feeling of being cherished, cared for, and loved. It does make you wonder. Despite being very peculiar, if it were only these two words, spoiled, rotten, then you can conclude this as an anomaly. But oh my, there's much more available to prove my point, which is the point being that through speech, they are trying to discourage love. They are trying to make us hate each other, whoever they are. Onwards. The all too familiar, I'm certain you've heard of it before, he completes me, she's my other half. Think about this. Think about it. To say they are your half means you lack a half, or at the very least have been lacking a half. But how can this be? The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Opening lines of Psalm 23. In the Holy Bible, it is two wholes become one. not two halves become one. Inadequacy is not recognized because you are whole as you are. This need only be made apparent to you. The truth that you are whole stands. The only difference is whether you are aware of it or not. And if not, if you convince yourself otherwise, I need only direct you to the opening lines of this very video. The quote from old Confucius: "The man who says he can and the man who says he can't are both correct." You will become whatever you believe you are. Whatever you impress onto your subconscious will indeed become your reality, your truth. Aside from a biblical standpoint, why would you wish yourself not to be whole and instead be dependent, in a crippling manner, searching for yourself outside of yourself? There's nothing rational or well thought out about that. Don't you see? When you stretch this thought out a little bit further, you find yourself as Madame Insecure. Remember her? From my insecurities will ruin any good characteristics you have video. How can thinking another is necessary to complete you not stem from and lead to more insecurities? Every insecure person perceives themselves to lack. They indeed operate in an energy of lack. When your mind convinces your body you're lacking something, in desperation it will try and fill what you lack. Similar to when you're hungry. Despite you seeking out in another what is lacking within you, as opposed to searching within yourself, you will nonetheless, despite all your searching, inevitably be disappointed, thinking, there's just something missing. This is where the saying, "you cannot give what you do not have," makes its introduction. In common law, there is a legal rule in Latin called nemo dat quod non habet, which translates directly to no one can give what they do not have. And when learning this for the first time in law school, it made me think of the ties this translation has in regards to the romanticization with inadequacy. To think you are half and not a whole means you're inadequate, not finished. Otherwise, you would not be searching for another half, as you'd be complete. Now, this legal rule is to do with legal title and ownership of assets, but the translation verbatim does seem appropriate in this context. We can all agree to lack is a negative word, negative energy to operate in. How does this negative lead to a positive, healthy relationship, whether with yourself or another? Consider this "she completes me, he's my other half" mindset as using the wrong formula. For an equation in an exam, the mindset you must have to say such distorted things such as "he completes me, she's my other half" is the incorrect formula. The equation, the thing to solve, is the relationship, whether with yourself or another. The exam, the test, is life. So if you use the wrong formula to answer an equation, try as you might, you'll never get the right answer, because the formula, the method applied, is incorrect. So it cannot result in something correct. You picking up what I'm putting down? You still with me? Alright, just checking. You must finish searching within yourself, amore, acknowledging that you are indeed whole as you are, my love, before you can give love, particularly romantic love, to another. Otherwise, it seems to me you'll only feel depleted, as a relationship is an exchange. But if you perceive yourself lacking, then you'll resent them, because you'll feel that they're taking even the little that you do have of yourself. In sooth, I know not why I'm so sad. And where is me, you say it, where is you? But how I caught it, found it, or came by it, what stuff it is made of, or of it is born, I am to learn. And such a one with sadness makes of me, that I have much ado to know myself. Opening lines to the Shakespearean tragedy, the play Merchant of Venice. I thought I'd season you up with a little Shakespeare, to serve as a pick-me-up. You got more in common with Shakespeare than you'd think, amore. Did I ever tell you I'm pretty crazy about him? This is another one. I'm crazy about him. I'm crazy about her. This is getting funny now. A synonym for crazy is insane, mentally unstable. This sort of speech would convey that when loving, you're mentally unstable. Yeah, you're pretty insane when in love. Wouldn't it be better to say the contrary? When she's with me, she gives me peace. I'm so sane when I'm with her. When I'm with him, things are clear. Love is not blind, I see very well. 20/20 vision when I'm with him, eh? Now you may be thinking, steeped in serenity. Or should I say Debbie Downer? This makes for good poetry, honey. Believe me, I know, sugar. Buttercup, I know. Patsy Cline, crazy, I'm aware. Billie Holiday, I say I'll move the mountains, so I'll move the mountains, if he wants them out the way. Crazy, he calls me. Sure, I'm crazy. All too familiar, amore. I'm all too familiar how good crazy can sound. But I do believe that its intricacies, such as sayings like this, speech such as this, we are all aware of the power of the spoken word. What you say will come to be. That people now glorify toxicity in relationships. You heard that right. People will, like my friends at 15, like those friends, it will be considered boring to be without conflict and strife. There are people who end relationships because of lack of conflict. Well, you have to understand where they're coming from, you see. Without something toxic, someone toxic, oh my goodness, what are you supposed to do with all the hours in the day? Not get into a single argument? Have peace and live in civility? No, we can't have that. The devil's hard at work. Takes no days off. Star employee, that one. Wonderful work at messing things up. But wait a minute now, we've got one more. We've got the icing on the cake, but it'd be my honor to put the cherry on top. Trivia question. What do you call, dear viewer, a person who loves and adores the idea of love itself and desires to feel such an emotion? Time's nearly up. Would you like to phone a friend? I'll have to take your final answer now. All answers will now be locked in. A person who loves and adores the idea of love itself and desires to feel such an emotion is called... My goodness, he's got it! He's got it! A hopeless romantic. You take home the cash prize. A hopeless romantic. Can you believe it? A person who adores love, love being the celestial, supreme, pinnacle, joyous emotion, is to be associated with the word... What was the answer sheet? Hopeless. Hopeless. Another negative word slapped beside the word love to alter its meaning entirely. Hopeless. Hope a little less in terms of love. Or there's nothing hopeful. There's nothing to look forward to in terms of love. You've got to ask yourself, dear viewer, why is the best thing I could possibly feel discouraged? My, oh my. Not the hopeful romantic, which has more accuracy. No, can't have that. How about the hope a little less romantic? That one's got a nice ring to it. Let's go for that one. Hope a little less. Gosh, it's pretty depressing though. It has a tone of misery loves company. Oh, by the way, have you noticed adverts recently? I've been watching Mad Men, so I'm watching these ads as if I'm Don Draper. Yeah, and I'm not impressed. They definitely didn't do these ads at Stellan Cooper Draper price. No. Everything is sexual. Everything. Picture this. 7 in the morning. 7 in the morning. You're eating breakfast. You want to watch a little YouTube video. And then suddenly plays this.
I know what you're thinking. You want to put peanut butter in it, don't you? It's okay. That's what we're into too. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. 2 milk chocolate cups absolutely filled with peanut butter.
Yeah, there's a man nearly moaning in your ear about peanut butter being poured into a heel, a shoe, at 7 in the morning. How enticing. How erotic. Yeah. Peanut butter, Reese's Pieces. My goodness, the game's gone. The game's gone. You don't even know what products are being advertised anymore by the poor way adverts are made. I mean, who is signing off on this? It's a sweet treat. Like a cookie. There's nothing erotic about it. Nothing sexy about a cookie. And the main audience for food such as this is children. And I'm sure that these oh-so-smart people in charge would have known that. Ew. Another advert was for a straightener. A heated hair tool. The whole advert is filled with sexual innuendos. The whole thing. In the end, she even says, oh yeah, and this straightener does this. Oh wait, what are we even talking about anymore? Oink. Yeah, me and you both, love. What are you talking about? It's a heated hair tool. How could you honestly pervert that? And the ability to do so is mildly impressive. I'll give you that. Oh yeah, comparethemarket.com. Comparethemarket.com. You're gonna think I'm making this one up. Get a load of this, guys. Sergey the Meerkat for comparethemarket.com is now doing thirst traps on TikTok. Yeah. Oh my. Posted on the company account, by the way, just so you know, in case there's any confusion about that. No, company account. Is that how bad the economy is? The meerkat. The actual meerkat doing thirst traps on TikTok. Take a look at this mess, guys. Take a look at the comments. No one is impressed. It's pathetic. It's just tragic. Should we end on that note? No, I couldn't send you off on that note. Think of why relationships fail, especially in the rapid speed that they do nowadays. It stems from things such as choice of words. Words make you feel things. They heighten the emotions of what you already feel and evoke new ones. How much more would we understand each other and effectively communicate if we said what we actually meant, with careful consideration of our choice of words, because we desperately want another to feel, even if ever so slightly, how much they mean to us. I heard once that it is a great tragedy in life that you'll never know how much one feels about you. You can never fathom the extent of how loved you are, or how much you mean to another. I'd add on to that you know even less than the little you would know when you fail to communicate, because communication is not words, it is the effect of your words. There is a greater effect in me saying, I wish to be one with you, rather than, you're my other half. Better to say, I've reached a state of tranquility, it's complete sanity with you. I'm so at peace when you're in my presence, as opposed to, I'm crazy about you, honey. I could go on, but I think I've made you blush enough. Aim straight for the heart, mon ami. And as always, won't you like and subscribe?